It is 8:30, and good morning. As promised, special guest joining us in studio this morning. We've got Eric Bryson joining us this morning. Eric, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate this.
Absolutely.
This is going to be an interesting conversation for a lot of folks, I can imagine, in the area. Everyone watches movies, watches TV, and you've been such a part of that for decades now. First of all, how long's your career been as a stuntman, stunt coordinator?
So far, 33 years. I was a stuntman for 16 years. And as my body started to get a little bit more sore and age, because it's a real thing, and then I became the stunt coordinator, which manages the action, hire the stuntman, and interpret the script for the production and the director.
Okay. So, more than 3 decades in the industry. First question's got to be, how does someone get into something like this? How does one decide that they want to get blowed up for a living?
Well, for a lot of the stunt performers that I've met were professionals. They were Olympians, race car drivers. Some came from the carnival. They had done, we used to call them carnies. Okay. And a lot of them, like in Alberta, the Cowboys, they were the Chuck Wagon bronc riders. And there was the request for looking for, if you're doing a Western, you're looking for the guys who can handle the horses. And we know they can fall off of them. So it just evolved around skills you already had previously, and then when you learned that the pay scale was fantastic, you kind of fell into the business.
But
yeah.
So to get into something like this, for yourself, I mean, you're a pretty big guy. Is that what kind of led you into this kind of business, that you could take a hit, you could roll around with the best of them?
Yeah, it certainly helped. I was a competitive fighter when I was younger. I mean, I first started off in Taekwondo, and I competed a lot in that, and then I got into boxing, and I was back then Lennox Lewis, a sparring partner, such. So I realized for a big guy, I could take a beating, and when I started in film, I learned they're starting in Toronto making productions, and when I met stunt performers, I thought, I could do this. And for a big guy, I could move fast. And then they had pointed out that they don't have a lot of bigger stuntmen. Most of the stuntmen are in from about the 5'7" to about 5'11" range, okay, and much lighter. But there's a lot of larger actors, and if you're going to play a soldier or a police officer, then they were looking for the guys. So that helped keep me busy.
The magic of movie making for a lot of people, we see these stunts, we're in awe of the explosions and how that's done. But for you, someone who's involved into it, this has got to be something that's more than just the majesty of doing the stunts. There's got to be so much prep work and, God forbid, actual math and science involved in a lot of this stuff.
Absolutely. It's over the years when I was a stunt performer, exposed to being on fire, crashing cars, people going through windows, every car crash has a certain speed. If you're hitting going through a window, hitting a post, or crashing into another vehicle, what kind of car is it? When was it built? What do we need to do to prep it? Do we need to put in Lexan windows, fuel cells? Does it require roll cage? We'd have to go through what is required for the speed and the impact. And some of the older cars, we didn't have to do it because they actually crash well. Or if you're going through a window, what kind of glass is it? Is it a tempered glass? Are we being chased by an explosion? Do we need to have a fire suit on or stunt gel? And then what's the height? And then the height would depend on building a box rig, which is cardboard boxes built up, and each box is basically a parcel of air. So when you hit it, they break down, and or an airbag or a porta pits and such. Would depend. So you'd figure that out in early prep days, and then on the day of shooting, we'd have everything well rehearsed and checked before cameras are up.
I've been looking at your bio and some of the movies and TV series and TV shows you've been involved with, and I couldn't help but notice the first one that was listed there was from 1987, and this is a show that as a young man I absolutely loved this show. Started out on Bizarre, the TV show, and then Super Dave Osborne. Everyone in Canada knew Super Dave Osborne. You were involved in that show as well.
I was, yeah. It was my very first union day, so I got my first credit towards the union called ACTRA. And Spanky Spangler from Arizona, he came up, and he was more of a thrill show. He did insane stunts, things that most stuntmen would never think of doing. he hired me for the and another fellow named Ken, and we did the Super Dave studio. So when he was going through his studio, it was the Super Dave cowboy fights. So the shot was we're all hanging around just being lazy stuntmen. And he said, "Well, put a little show on for everybody." And well, when we did it, it looked great on camera, but it wasn't actually going that great because Super Dave, Spanky gives me an uppercut. I go over the bar. I hit him right between the legs with my cowboy boots. So I had no idea. And I go over the bar, and some bottles supposed to fall. The other stuntman, Ken, grabs a bottle, and it wasn't the breakaway bottle. Hit me in the head with a real bottle. And I saw stars and went down. And then, of course, Super Dave, hey, that was great, guys. And that was great. Thanks for when we got the shot cut, I've got a lump on my head. Spanky's on his knees. And Ken's looking around like, what's going on?
Welcome to the business.
Right. Welcome to the business. And what an egg I had on my head.
I can imagine it with a real bottle. Eric, your IMDb lists 291.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a career in anything.
Thank you.
For those who watch movies, watch TV series, they're going to be saying to themselves right now, what has he been in that I may know? As a stuntman, we always think of these high action movies or TV series for stunt people, but it's not always the high action ones that require stunt people. But what are some of the movies and TV series that people may be familiar with that you've been in?
Some of them might be a little bit more dated because of my stunt performing days. But I worked on The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I worked on Die Hard 2 with Bruce Willis, and I had worked on Shanghai Noon with Jackie Chan. Did a barroom fight with him, and I got to know Jackie on that. And, there's so many. I've worked Ben Affleck on Reindeer Games. Johnny Monic was, it goes on and on how many I have done. But those are names that are more notable. People would recognize. Oh, okay. Yeah. Those are the action stars of that era.
What about some of the other stunt people? Obviously, in the industry, in any industry, there are well-known people. We may not know them as movie watchers, but in the stunt world, in the stunt coordinator world, what are some of the big names that you've worked with? I can imagine after 291 official credits, you must have worked with some of the biggest.
Oh my gosh, I worked with them. Half of them have now they're gone, and I have to think about that. Well, there's Brent Woolsey, who I worked with from Alberta and gave me a lot of breaks. And Brent, he did big movies, and I learned plenty from Brent. People wouldn't know his name, but he was actually big involved in the rodeos.
Okay.
Hal Needham, he was at the World Stunt Awards with that, and he was pretty much the inventor of how the can would work, where cars would explode with a can underneath, and how you see cars tumbling down the road. So I've been with him. Simon Crane, who did a lot of the original James Bonds. These are like he coordinated Braveheart, and like these are the men that I met and was taken back. And the biggest one for me that I actually co-coordinated with was Buddy Joe Hooker, and he's the most famous, legendary Hollywood stuntman, Buddy Joe. And what a wonderful man! And we did a big car scene. We were crashing cars, and he actually got in and cannoned the bus. So we're on University Ave in Toronto, and that means the bus is going down the road. He pitches it sideways, hits a button, and this big bus is now, the shiny side's coming down, and it's tumbling.
Wow.
And, of course, around that time, we had to have lockups. We had to have 33 police officers locking up the street. But these are the Buddy Joe was phenomenal. He got out with a big grin on his face. And it's just, but Buddy Joe was probably the most impressive because he's such a cool California type of guy.
When you first started this, did you think of this as a career? Was this something you wanted to do as a career, or was this something that just kept happening and kept getting bigger?
Oh, heck no. When I first met Stuntman, I thought, honestly, that these guys are kind of buffoon, and I don't want to be idiots, but I don't know, what are these kind of guys?
Yeah.
And I just wasn't impressed originally by what I thought. And then when I met them, because I just wanted to be in a movie set once out of boredom, I was so impressed by the engineering and design and the thinking that these guys are not buffoons, and it's in fact that I was for thinking that. And the way they were setting up, there was going to be an explosion and the guy was going to be flying back inside of a bus. And I thought, well, how are they doing that? And they had a cable attached to them and the harness on, and they're figuring out the angles. And I was so impressed from that moving forward. I want to know everything I could learn about it. And still to today, people are coming up with new, innovative ways of doing action sequences and special effects sequences.
Yeah. Eric, we're going to take a little break here.
Sure.
When we come back, I want to talk a little more about, why you're here. Why you're in this neck of the woods, and your connection to Cornerbrook Winter Carnival, which starts up in just over a week, and something you'll be doing there. Is that good with you?
All right. Sounds good.
We'll take a little break. We'll be back with more with Eric Bryson here on Bay FM.
George Strait. Maybe right this back. Keith Urban. We're losing ourselves and days go by. The legends live here.
100.1
Bay FM.
Doing a great job, man. Thank you.
All you need in the morning, 100.1 Bay FM.
It is 8:41. We're back with stuntman, stunt coordinator Eric Bryson joining us this morning. Eric, first part of our conversation, we talked a little about the business, in it for 3+ decades. And one of the questions that came to mind when I first met you on Saturday this past weekend, sat down, had a chat with you. What's your connection to this area, to the West Coast, to the Bay of Islands?
I grew up in Kitchener, Ontario, and all my friends were from Newfoundland, and they were all from the area of McIvers and Cox's Cove. And when I grew up with Newfoundlanders, and quite honestly, I didn't even know I wasn't part of Newfoundland because the whole community, the food, the closeness, the humor was how I grew up. And when I was invited to come one summer, I went to the area of Cox's Cove, and I fell in love. I loved the people, and the view was outstanding. I just couldn't believe it. And I said to myself, one day this will be my home. And it was maybe about 15, 16 years ago, I bought some land and built a home there, and never really visited because I was so busy working. And I've decided now with the busyness, and it's so busy that it's not enjoyable for me to be in Ontario anymore. I thought, let's my wife and I, let's come back and bring our stepson along, and let's go there. And honestly, every morning I wake up and the ocean gives me a great big smile, and the sun gives me a kiss if it's out. But when it's up, it's so beautiful, and I feel something I've never felt. And I was right then, and I'm right now. It's honestly the best place in the world, and I've been around the world, and there's no better people. And when they do these shows called, I was in England last year, and I saw the advertisement for Come From Away. Yep. And people there, they see it because they want to feel warm because of the show, but being here, I understand what the show is about. It's about the people. The people are everything here. I'm proud and be honored to be a wannabe Newfoundlander. I don't think I'll ever get in, even if I kiss a cod or two, but I'll always be proud to be part of this.
Good stuff. Let me throw something at you now. In your business, yeah. I mean, you're on the edge. You're on the edge. I mean, explosions and going through glass and rolling in cars and stuff like that. I can imagine the bond that you develop with fellow stunt people must be so tight. It becomes like family. Is that the same kind of family feeling you get when you come out here? Is it that kind of close knit that you're looking for when you decided to come here?
Yes and no. I mean, when I'm on a set, it's more of, if you're with a group of men, it's like a summer camp feeling, and you really feel a positive bonding towards them because we got through it together. Mm-hmm. We had maybe minimal injuries or got through some heavy injuries, and you'll never forget. And I think a lot of heavier, more contact team sports will understand the feeling. You stay in touch. But when I'm here, because I have been fortunate to come here for decades now, I feel like I'm truly coming home. Okay. And when I walk in the door, if I haven't seen somebody in 30 years, they remember me. And they're offering me something to eat. Or even if it's in a restaurant, oh, hey, how you doing? And I just, it's nothing like it. And it feels like, when I would come back after a job away, and I'd come into my mother's home, my mom would say, oh, you poor thing, sit down, have something to eat. And are you all right? And a warmth that only my mother could give. When I come here, it's like very close to that feeling. There's nothing better of having that family warmth and love that I get in Newfoundland. and that's yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
it's
the camaraderie
pretty cool.
stunt guys is great.
Yeah.
But all summer camps and all team sports, they do have the memories. But you always come home. And
Always
for
come
me, I feel like I'm coming home.
All right. I've got a few questions for you. That I told a few people I'm having a professional stunt coordinator on with me this morning, and they gave me a few questions to ask. Before we get to that, I want to know about your connection with Corner Brook Winter Carnival. You've got something coming up with Corner Brook Winter Carnival. Tell us a little about that.
I do. My stepson, he's going to be. He's been invited. He's going to be a resident soon. By the warmth of Xavier House, they're taking him. He once has suffered an injury himself, and this is going to be his home. And Donna Luther, director of Xavier House, is taking myself, my wife, and Dylan in just to have conversations. And I've never seen anything like it. Again, here's the blessed amazingness of Newfoundland, and nothing like this exists on the mainland. And I have looked because I love my stepson very much, and I've always said, what can I do to help? Anything at all I can do to help, and I don't know how I could. And Donna, of course, she's had that leave it with me.
Yeah,
I didn't think there'd ever be a request. What could you ask from a stunt coordinator, right? But she said, well, they have something coming up called Winter Carnival, and maybe there might be some interest of you offering something. And I said, okay, well, whatever that could be. And, well, here we are. It's started. I'm going to be, I think it's February 23rd. I'm going to be doing a meet and greet presentation, conversations with yourself. Mm-hmm. And of course, here with you, and whatever else I can do. Maybe in future events, I can put a stunt show on. I know we've just early started talking about that, but
that would be awesome.
My contacts are still there, so we can tear a few things up and break a few things. So how we do it.
How would Leaf the Lucky feel about being caught on fire?
Well,
that's a question that needs to be asked.
Well, we should ask him and see how he feels about that. It'll be a hot question.
It's a lot of fur. It's a lot of fur to have an open flame nearby. Right. All right, Eric, let's get to a couple of questions.
All right.
First question, buddy of mine wants to know, how many bones have you broken in your career?
Well, I haven't counted them, but that's a good question. But even right now, I have to get a mild operation on my elbow because I broke the tip of it off and didn't get it fixed fighting. Yes, David Carradine, which was years ago.
Smart.
And right, because stuntman, we're Superman. We don't get injured.
Of course not.
And let me think. It's 1, 2, 3. About 8.
Okay. I expected higher. You must be good at it. I guess you know what? Be good at it.
Tough. You're not feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe there might be more because every time I get X-rays, I'm like, oh, you broke that. A lot of times, like when I broke my collarbone, my clavicle, I didn't know I broke it, and I didn't complain. It hurt. And then it was about 6 months later, I was having issues, and they did an X-ray, and it didn't heal properly. So I had to get an operation done on my shoulder and my clavicle.
Okay.
And it was on a movie called Dave Regan Got Shot, and I played as one of his bodyguards that got shot. And I just caught a curb on the way down beside the car door. Okay. And the curb, because I'm playing dead, I'm falling like a lump of bag of potatoes, right? Yep. Purposely, I just folded my shoulder over and cracked it and broke it in 2 spots. Didn't know, just hurt. But you're pumped up, the adrenaline's on. So, but yeah, about eight that I currently know of.
All right. Biggest part you've played in a movie as a stuntman? What have you been most involved with? Which, if you had to pick a single movie that you've been most involved with that people would know, what would it be?
Oh, I've been on over 300 productions as a stuntman. Right? I can honestly say that, well, when I doubled Tom Arnold, and even though they weren't great, phenomenal movies, the most involved with, because when you double an actor, and back then it was a show like Carpool, The Stupids, McHale's Navy, and another called Touch. Even though the stunts are big and the show didn't do well, a lot of probably think, what are those movies? But because Tom Arnold wanted to make sure that his character looked great and he was safe, I had a lot of say in how explosions are going to happen or how we're going to crash things and how things are being set up. So in a lot of these movies, I worked with the second unit director, which are more retired. Their stunt coordinators are retired and they understand action. So I'd work with them, and they'd come to me and say, "What's what's Tom thinking? And I'd say this and that, and we kind of designed the action around that. And I've worked when I worked with Jackie Chan. He asked me what I thought when we're doing the barroom brawl. So a lot of the actors will say, "How do you feel?" So I've got so many memories of that because you're fighting with them. Yeah. You have the stunt coordinator who's overseeing and watching to make sure it works on behalf of the director. But as a stuntman, I was you're working directly. Yeah. It's like, okay, you punch here, I go there, you do this, I crash on that, and so it was. There's a lot of actors, but Tom Arnold was the main that I was directly involved with.
You look nothing like Tom Arnold.
What's that?
You look nothing like Tom Arnold.
No, but back then, I was the same height. No, I certainly don't. It's bizarre because he changed over time, but I was the closest thing because when I was saying earlier, height and weight, and I'm 6'3", and I was on that I was about 235 pounds, and he was 6'3" and about 265 pounds back then. But so you just the costumes will make suits that accommodate the body, and
two-part question: favorite stunt you've been a part of, favorite stunt that you've coordinated.
Oh my gosh, you were just
hey, these
favorite
are
stunt.
These are friends that have,
okay. The most favorite stunt I was a part of was I don't know, it was a Jerry Butler movie. It was called Timeline.
Oh, I know it well.
And we get to go back in time, and there was over maybe 100 stuntmen out, and there was the French fighting the English, and we're attacking the castle. So there's horses, swordplay, trebuchets shooting big fiery balls at the castle. It was such incredible mayhem. There's a lot of injuries. They had 2 ambulances on set and a medevac helicopter on set because injuries were every take. Yeah. But the excitement and the sound and the smell, you felt like you're actually in a true war from 500 years ago. Yeah. I loved it.
I absolutely love that movie.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And all I broke was my thumb on that one, which I forgot that one too.
9.
I got attacked, and the guy hits me against a cannon, and my thumb got jammed against the cannon, and there's some ropes around it, proper ropes, and I broke my thumb when I came back off to fight him. And but it was so much fun. That's my memorable. Okay. We laughed so hard. We shot on nights. Yep. And we had a few beers. We got back to the hotel, and then we wouldn't stop. Guys were diving off the beds on top of each other. It was such fun mayhem. Yeah, I love that.
Favorite stunt you've coordinated? Because I can imagine you've done a few. You've had to coordinate quite a few. If you had to pick one you're most proud of, or one that would have been the most spectacular.
Well, I'll tell you what it was, and it was actually my eldest son, Cameron. He's a director of photography, and he went to film school, and director of photography works with the director, does the lighting, the camera setups, and really is what you see when you're watching a show. You're watching why and how. And they came up with, there's 2. This one was called Escape the Night. And so they made a zombie, and because they didn't know, and they had all the money to do this, and all, it was zombies attacking a rec yard, and I had a girl named Cassie Boone jumping a motorcycle over these guys like 80 feet in the air. She's #1 world record holder. So I had stuntmen on fire. I had zombies crashing over cars, and it was total mayhem. And actually, my son's sending that today, so we're hoping to have that playing for Scotiabank. So you can see it. So you can see the... it was just a lot of fun because it was what I call old school stunts. Okay. Nowadays, you see people on fire, but a lot of time it's digital.
Yeah, CGI.
Or you see a motorcycle jump, and it's just a motorcycle on a rig going in front of a green screen. Well, no, we were jumping that motorcycle. She was up there, and my son Cam was on a crane, the old style crane. You see the guy way up there with the camera, called a giraffe crane, and he was up there and had the motorcycle come launch right past him because he's been on stunts his whole life. So we had shots that you wouldn't normally get a camera operator to do, and they're all hungry young stuntmen. And thrill show guys did the motorcycle. They were the Red Bull Monster jumpers. Okay. And those are some of those people that I want to get to come out here sometime and put on a show. Because when you watch it, it's like, we all know about Evel Knievel. We see what they do. It's incredible. You stand up and like, I can barely see the bottom of his boots. They're that high. And you smell the exhaust, you hear the engine whip by, and next thing they're airborne, and and then the way you hear the suspension hit the catch ramp on the way down.
Man, what a rush.
It's such a great feeling. And so when I'm coordinating that, and you've got smashed cars on fire and people tackling each other, I liked doing that because it was all old school. So I was have to bring up my bag of tricks of what we used to do. So I felt proud that I could show, here's how it used to be.
Stuff. Eric, man, we could talk forever. This has been fantastic. I love this. Can't wait for the Friday of Carnival, the second Friday of Carnival. We'll get a chance to meet and greet up at the plazas where we're going to be, and we're going to have some footage. Going to be showing some footage of some of your stunts and the things like that.
There's one I even put my son on fire. He's 16. Burn him. Let's go.
Every parent's dream. But we'll talk more about that. We'll have more questions for you, and we'll be taking questions from the audience during that as well, as they want to know more, because this is fascinating for a lot of people. You've lived it. You know, you've lived it for over 3 decades. But for those who watch movies, those who watch TV, this is fascinating to actually talk to someone who's been a part of the magic that's been a part of their life growing up. So, it's important to people. So I'm really looking forward to next Friday and have more of that.
I look forward to it, and I look forward to meeting some more of the finest people on earth.
Sounds good. Eric, thanks for your time, buddy.
Thank you.
That's Eric Bryson joining us this morning here on Bay FM, stuntman, stunt coordinator, some 291 official movie credits that he's either been a stuntman, stunt coordinator, or actor in. There'll be a few questions coming his way, I can guarantee you, during Corner Brook Winter Carnival.